morning and welcome to What's New with Mike and Jeff, your Saturday morning hobby hangout coming to you live via the interwebs. I'm your host, Mike, and with me is the man in red, Jeff.
Hey,
Hey, how are ya?
there's a weird anomaly on my screen.
There's not. We were solving first world problems. And what I did is before the show, I clicked that the comments can show on the screen thing.
That's what it is. All right. Well, fair enough. That's fine. Morning, Tim.
Good morning, Tim.
It
So
was
it puts
just-
a little shaded box in the
Yeah.
lower,
Nope. I see when Tim's comment popped up. I see it now.
and it covered half your face on the thing. I was like, oh, good morning, Heron. See, so now everybody can see the comments as they make them. So make all the comments you want because we're going to ignore them anyways. No, I'm just joking.
And I'm gonna sit like this the whole show.
You're going to hide in the shadow.
We'll hide in the shadow.
Well, my day's already been kicking off, and I've already done more work today than most people are going to do all week because I had to fix my sprinkler system again.
I worked with a cooling system, not a sprinkler system, but I had that wasn't this morning. This morning I was dealing with just a lot of stuff going on, and my oldest friend from high school, his birthday today, so I had to rub it in that he's still older than me.
I saw that post. Good morning, Joe. Yeah, I kind of like that. Now, for me, I don't know how your screen is set up. I have everything reduced down in size, so all the comments. I don't even know if my glasses are going to help me read those comments. They're so small.
No, I'm still going to read them from here.
Yeah, that's why I still have it set up. But that's kind of a cool feature now. People watching the show. And that's what I like about StreamYard is they're always evolving and changing it, and they're not charging us additional money for these types of things. So I think that's really cool. It's a neat little feature, and
it's kind of nice.
Yeah, this way people can be more, because I don't know, everyone watches on different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most people are watching us from Facebook, and they're popping the comments in there, and if they're not keeping up with that, then they're gonna lose in the comments. Granted, we're not one of those shows that's getting 100 comments a minute, but still good enough for us, and that's all that matters.
I don't think I could handle it if we got that many comments on a regular basis. I'd be coming, wow.
Well, that's why I watch a lot of streaming shows, and they don't even read the comments. They have moderators that are like booting people from the comments that are making inappropriate comments. And every once in a while, they'll throw them up on the screen or something like that. But yeah.
So you doing any cool hobby stuff?
Now it looks blue to me in that picture,
right?
But it's actually purple.
Yeah, my motorcycle's the same way. Depending on how the light hits it, because I can see the purple towards the end.
Yeah,
it depends on where the light hits it, and that's actually what I love about that color.
Yeah, this is that plum purple.
Yep.
Got it all airbrush. Had to sand it all down again. Great paint job. Thank you. Because the way I don't paint and I don't airbrush in a booth anymore.
Right.
It's just I don't airbrush enough to justify the amount of things I have to do to airbrush. So what I did is I laid a old towel down on my desk and onto my lap, and then I pull away from my desk and I airbrush that way so that the overspray goes onto the towel, and it collects the majority of it. Well, what ended up happening is a few little fibers decided to float up in the air and landed on the paint job while it was wet. So I had to do some wet sanding and then repaint it, reshoot it. I am having fun with this kit. This plum purple looks good, but I have two problems with it so far. First, when I was stripping the chrome off all the chrome, because chrome on model cars looks like that when it comes out of the box looks like crap.
It does.
Because I don't know if it's dipped in a glue and then dipped in the chrome so that the chrome plating sticks on it. Because when I strip it, there's always a little yellow residue left.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I don't know how that works.
It's part of the process. I don't know. I'm not a model expert. So when I was cleaning off, I strip it all in purple power.
Right.
And when I was cleaning off the stuff, I lost one of the rear view mirror pieces, which is easy to fix. Just got to cut a little piece of plastic card, put it in there. But then
Right.
I lost one of the little front details on the Hemi. It's like a little chrome piece that goes in the front grill, underneath the front grill. So that's like the spoiler.
Right.
And it goes in there, and I lost one of those. So that sucks. Plus, the hood doesn't sit flat. The front hood doesn't sit flat. It's a little cockeyed. So now I'm just going to be like, all right, I'm going to do the detail work to the body. If the detail work comes out good, then I will proceed with trying to fix the hood and doing everything else. If the detail work doesn't come out good, then I'm just going to glue the hood down and be done with it. I'm not going to put the energy in fixing that. I'm not going to replace those. I'll just fix the one rear view mirror and be done with it.
Yeah.
This is, for me, model cars are just an escape to try new techniques and new things.
Sure.
And push myself a little outside the norm for my painting. So yeah, that's one. And then I've been painting some little miniatures and painting my little dice tower thing.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a 3D print. It's not a super detailed 3D print. It's got lining and stuff like that, which makes it really hard to make it look really great because of the lining. Dry brushing becomes kind of something you can't do as much. You'll probably exactly. Good morning, David.
Morning, David.
Yeah, one of these days I'll have to like fix my sink and they'll be stuck down there in the P trap. And I'll be like, oh, those are from my. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just like get it, not fix those parts, wait till I find them, and then pull it out when it gets to that point, and then fix it from there. So
I always find stuff like that when I'm, I lose it, can't find it, and then out of nowhere, it's like, oh, look, here's that.
Hey, we're still waiting for you to find Hermione's arm. Was it an arm that you lost?
I was thinking that, yeah, the one that went out in the yard.
Yeah,
I have given up looking for that. So that was a $200 faux pas.
Yeah, because then you have to buy like a whole nother set.
I had to buy an entire new set because I was doing these. They were Kickstarter
night models,
pledge awards.
Yes.
And the only way to get them was if you backed a pledge to a certain level, and they gave you a Hermione, a Ron Weasley, and a Harry. And somehow I dropped that and lost the arm. And I could not find it. I was actually out on my front patio, so it fell into the grass, and I crawled all over that. I mean, my neighbors thought I was crazy, and I just had to end up rebuying the whole thing, and so I could replace that model. So it was insane.
Yeah. They're selling toilet-shaped dice towers at a con he was at over the weekend.
The infamous toilet gate.
Yeah.
You remember that, right?
No.
There was a guy that got caught cheating at a tournament. I don't know where it was or anything like that. And when they caught him, he ended up disappearing, but they found his dice in the bottom of the toilet.
Toilet man. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So yeah. And I believe they floated. There was something weird about them.
Yeah. Hey, so yeah. So that's what I've been working on. Just every day I come in and I just start painting for at least 30 minutes to an hour, trying to keep that habit alive of working on the hobby and doing my thing.
I wasted my first two hobby days this week putting basically fixing the coolant leak in my Explorer, which is taking me forever, but I think I finally got it down. So
there you go.
So today is going to be catch up on painting, but it's a lovely day outside. It's like 62 degrees right now. Nice breeze coming in. So
sweet. It's a little it was overcast this morning. I was looking outside. I'm like, oh, is it gonna rain? It's kind of cloudy and dark. So I'm like, it was great for me doing the sprinkler system.
We had a really nasty thunderstorm move through last night. It was actually one of those window rattling, lightning striking near your house kind of a thing. So
what else you been up to?
That's about it. Just a lot. Oh yeah, I want to make a quick shout out. Rob Villeneuve, whom I work with at Battlefront Miniatures, suffered a heart attack. This week he's in the hospital. He had a clogged artery. They cleared it, and he seems to be on the road to recovery. But I wanted to wish him and his family well, because I know from personal experience what that's like. As a matter of fact, when I went to visit him yesterday morning, I was in the opposite side of the wing that I was in back in 2014. So I stayed there about 10 minutes and said, okay, Rob, I hate you. I got to go. And he goes, no, I get it. And so out I went. So
now Rob can become part of your club, the heart attack club.
I didn't have a heart attack.
Oh, okay.
I had an embolism that ruptured
in the heart,
and I had to have an aortic dissection, which means they had to crack my chest and redo all the plumbing to make sure I didn't die. Yeah. Rob simply had a blocked artery. They went in arthroscopically and cleaned it out. He got roto-rooted.
Aaron, that's very thoughtful. I don't know if Rob's going to be able to watch us, but I'm sure he will.
I don't think he watches us anyway, really. He pops in on occasion.
He's popped in a few times.
He pops in on occasion. But yeah. He's probably sleeping right now because he was exhausted yesterday, and rightfully so. That's not a fun thing to go through. So,
well, I went to my doctor Thursday.
Yeah.
And did my annual physical, and they said everything's still working. I'm like, well, that's good.
You might want to get a second opinion.
I'm thinking I might need to get a second opinion. They did the EKG, said everything was good. So.
Do they really know though?
No. Well, it's fun. I don't see a doctor. I see a nurse practitioner.
Uh-oh.
Which is fine. No, totally okay with it.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
She's very good. And I prefer talking to a nurse practitioner over a doctor.
Because, well, they'll actually talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just
talks. Well, I go to a physician's assistant.
Okay.
Not a nurse practitioner. And he I believe at one point in time he was corpsman.
Oh.
And so he talks to me like, well, like he knows me.
Well, you have a brotherhood being part of the military, so he can look at you and go, I don't need the BS with this guy. I can just tell him how it is.
He'll let me do my spiel, and then I'll go, okay, now what's really going on?
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, everything checked out other than my PSA numbers are still high, but they're better than last year by 0.4. So I'll go back to the urologist. They'll follow up with my.
You're still a young buck. You'll be fine.
Well, I do have a spot on my prostate they're worried about. So
I don't want to talk about your prostate.
Okay.
That's kind of TMI, man.
I'm open. I'm honest. I share. I don't hold back.
I know
it's out there on the interwebs for everybody to know. So, anyways, it's funny though. It's kind of, well, not funny, just coincidence. You and Jason we're both tankers, tank operators. I don't know if you knew that or not about Jason. Yeah, Jason was also on a tank crew. Different. Probably about the same time period. You guys, how old are you?
61. I turned 62 next month, or not next month. July.
Oh, congratulations. You made another year.
Not there yet, buddy.
You guys but you probably still dealt with the similar vehicles.
Well, depending on when it was, I was in the 2nd Train Battalion that trained with the M1. So anything, if he was in after that, yeah, it would have been some variant of the M1. But I wasn't in very long before I busted up my leg, and they put me on what they call a temporary disabled retirement list, because I was going to be in a cast for 18 months.
Right.
So, and when it came time to get the cast off, I had been out so long that they said, "Yep, we'll absolutely take you back, but you got to recycle through basic training." Yeah. And I'm like, I'll pass.
JP, I am keeping my eye on it because I don't want to end up a prostate.
No, you'll end up prostate.
Yeah. So, Jason, so you did an Abrams, right?
Yeah.
M1.
Back in I was, like I said, it was the second training battalion to actually train. The M1 was fairly new.
Yeah.
Actually, it was brand new. So I trained with the M1, and then busted up my left leg pretty nasty. Yeah, and spent, like I said, 18 months in a cast. So
Jason was on like an M13 or something, like more of a transport.
Yeah,
thing, kind of boxy, but he was telling me stories that, just like you've told me, about things that happened during his time, even though he wasn't on like the war front.
Right,
that stuff still happens.
Yeah, Now some of the guys who went through basic were actually in the first Gulf War, but I was out long before that happened.
Yeah. So, hey, I just thought it was a coincidental thing because for some reason, I like to hang out with people that were military or in some sort of first responders role because the way we talk to each other is a little bit blunt.
Yeah, pretty straight. Yeah, you and I have never had a blunt conversation, have we?
Because you were also in law enforcement too.
Yeah.
And so was Jason.
And now I do what I was meant to do, which was paint toy soldiers and sell toy soldiers and do what really has no meaning in life.
You bring happiness and joy. Oh, buddy.
Oh, I've never been accused of that before. Even by my kids, they're like, no. Speaking of happiness and joy.
I was just reading Aaron's comment. He said an old buddy of his was an Abrams driver in Desert Storm. Ran for governor of Arizona.
Did he make it?
I don't know. I don't know who his buddy is. I'm gonna say not because he said ran for.
Yeah.
And didn't.
The only job being a tanker in the Army, the only job that trained me for outside the military was if I lived in Lima, Ohio, where they build the Abrams, I could actually drive one out of the factory.
You would be the Abrams lot attendant.
Which, quite frankly, morning, Mark. How you doing? Riding around in a vehicle with 62 tons of a 105 smoothbore sticking out the front of it is always kind of fun. So anyway, let's speak of fun. Speaking of entertainment.
Yes, let's entertain.
The last big fun hobby thing I did.
Oh, what is that?
Well, I had a game with Dave Taylor.
What can I interrupt before we do that?
No.
Yes.
No.
Just for all the local.
Is this going to be about your prostate again?
No. Good morning, John. Nerds. IOG is having the Gamers Garage sale today. So if you are local and you're looking for maybe that rare, unseen in a long time game or miniature, or just wanting to go see if there's a deal that you cannot pass up, Gamers Garage sale is today at IOG. It's going to be big. I was at the shop yesterday chatting with Darren, just trying to get the deets on the Gamers Garage sale, and he was setting up some stuff. So one of the things Darren does is he uses the Gamers Garage sale as a way to clear some back inventory, stuff that's not moving. Because as a retailer, he's got to, if it's not moving on a shelf, then he's got to make it go away. So he has. I was seeing a bunch of board games and stuff like that. Find new and old games for me. So John Pollock is a really good friend of mine from back in the day and still today. We're YouTubers together. Whenever there was a new game, all I did was I would buy the new game, give it to John, say, read it so we can play it. And then I would move on. So he was the instructor. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because we have a lot of people watching right now.
Well, the thing about that is that's an actually iconic event in the Valley. I mean, Darren, I think, was one of the first ones that did something like that. And I think most other locations have picked it up and changed the name, but I think Darren has always done it really, really well because it's very convenient for you to come in and sell your own stuff and not have a lot of hassles.
Yep.
It's just been. We just when we first started this show, we were operating out of the game grotto there. Yeah. I remember that first one they had where the line it got so big that the management of the shopping center said you're taking up all the parking spaces and the other tenants are complaining.
Yes.
And he had to actually trim it down, which was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
Heron, I am going down to the Gamers Garage sale, and that's going to be linked to Tim's comment about Mighty Empires. Darren said he found a box in his garage of Mighty Empires and I think Planetary Strike, the 40K version. Those are the little hex tile.
Right. Yep.
And I'm going to pick those up from Darren because those are things I've been looking for.
Well, if you see anything that I might like, let me know.
And that is my trademark. I will send you lots of pictures and spend your money wisely.
Well, the only problem with that is there's a certain box set coming out next week.
I know.
I will be spending I've got to go earn that money this weekend. But the Space Wolves released this week, so I am excited.
Yes.
I also find it very funny about how many Spaceful players are now coming out of the fucking woodwork. Excuse my French.
Oh, you dropped it.
That's how emotional I am. All these guys, oh, I'm going to pitch the Spaceful. Oh, go back to doing whatever you're doing before.
It's usually me dropping that stuff, so it's good.
Usually you. But I'm the potty mouth. I actually drop that word a lot more than you do on a normal basis. So, yeah, a parental warning.
Yes, John. I'll look. John, I'll look when I'm there, see if there's anything that I might think you're interested in. So we'll see. I'll text you or call you.
Woo-hoo.
John does not live locally either.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that because it's hot locally where you are.
Yeah, or I scare people away.
You're not scary. I'm scary. I can be. You're not scary.
You're like a grizzly bear.
There you go.
All right, so let's get on with the show. I just wanted to drop that before.
No, I'm glad you did. I actually slipped my mind.
Dropping the F-bomb.
Oh yeah, Mark is joining us next week.
Oh yes.
Yeah, the 7th is next week. I will be here, but I'll probably be hopefully elbow deep into a lovely box of Space Wolves.
Yes.
But yeah, Mark will be with us next week, chat about what he's working on, this, that, and the other. And I'm absolutely going to do everything I can to make sure he does drop an F-bomb. So
I love John's comment. Love you too, John. It's cooler in hell.
And apparently JP says I'm taller in real life because I finally met him at Adepticon.
Oh,
and so
did he have his
fez? Wider in real life?
Did he have his fez?
His fez, absolutely did. He was all decked out. So
JP's awesome. Hopefully, I see JP again this year at Gen Con.
It'll be awesome. It'll be good. I'm hoping to make it to Adepticon next year because Jake and I are going to be running that Rogue Trader game. I just got to get him to commit to it. So
well.
But everybody's been kind of busy.
Yeah. So, all right, let's jump into the photos.
There is no rhyme or reason in any of these picks. Have to move around and find it here. I just took a bunch of picks while playing Dave. I love playing Dave. Dave's a great opponent. A lot of fun to play. Armies always look really, really good. He right now is exploring, he's running around in Europe, or not Europe, the UK.
Okay.
He's doing a video for Tabletop Tactics where he's taking, I believe, this army.
Okay.
Which is it's a Adeptus Mechanicus Militarum army that he's basically using as a Gene Stealer Colt army.
It looks like he's doing like a military paint scheme.
Yeah, absolutely. And these things, although they don't look, these things are nasty.
Are they?
There's some serious firepower coming off these things.
When I first saw the photo, I was like, when did Dave start playing orcs? Like that resembles an orc truck.
Yeah, no, this is an absolutely gorgeous army that Dave did. Oh, look at that.
What are those?
These are just some random shots I took during the game. These are my Thunderwolf Cav just came in for reserve, getting ready to take on these guys. So
look at that.
There's my Repulsor and my Brutalis Dreadnought heading in this direction. Yeah, that was we believe it or not, those two vehicles survived 3 turns.
Where are you guys playing at?
At Games and Stuff down in Glen Burnie, which is a beautiful store, gigantic and huge.
Gigantic.
And now that I believe I've got the coolant system sorted out on my Explorer, I'm going to try to go down there at least once a month. I'm talking to Jeff right now about running a big Blood Bowl event. Seeing if Darren will give me the okay to run call it the Grumble Bowl, which is my trademark event.
Yeah, you're gonna do a 1 day or 2 day?
It'll be a 1 day. Just go down on Saturday, run the event. 3 rounds, no big deal.
Yeah,
just like it. But believe it or not, these two lovelies survived 3 turns.
All right.
Unfortunately, I damaged these guys pretty heavily, but I don't think I took any. I think I only took one of them out. And this from base another. There's my Bjorn conversion right there. And one of the things I did discover when I created this version of Bjorn for my Wolf Spear, a standard model of Bjorn is much easier to hide than a Redemptor size dreadnought.
Go figure. I don't know. It's 5 times larger than the standard model, but what?
And Bjorn really fared okay. Did all right.
Yeah.
I stood there for a while. And here's another angle of my Thunderwolf Cav going into these bikers. It didn't last long. Lovely shot there from behind Bjorn.
Yeah, John. Jeff is extremely excited about the new Space Wolf stuff coming out.
Yeah, he's so excited. I dropped an F-bomb.
Yeah, look at that.
So, but yeah, just Dave and I getting together. My Termies came in.
Oh, did they come in late as reserves?
They came in, they deep striked.
Okay.
They're holding that objective,
Perfect.
which I ended up winning the game objective point wise.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, I took a beating. I took an absolute pounding.
But
The fire coming into that, hey, finally made contact. Look at that. Woohoo.
is that the sled? No, that's just the base that looks so
That's my, I have to put everything on Tactical Rock. And this is also my way of saying goodbye to this lovely model. The Herald Deathwolf model is no longer available. They've dropped it from the line. It's not in the codex. So that means I have to figure out how to get what they did with the Deathwolves, Herald Deathwolf, to see what they've done with him or what they're going to do with him at some point, if anything.
Well, you could always run them as somebody else if you have to.
If nothing else, it's done up as a wolf spear, so it's just a beautiful display piece. Yeah. And quite frankly, that's probably what's going to happen with my wolf spears. I'm going to finish them up, and they'll probably become a nice display army that I'll just have sitting in the case going, I did this because this is my build paint play, or my Tale of Four Warlords that I do with build paint play. Yeah. So the army has a lot of emotional and just love it. It's just fantastic. I had a great time doing that with them.
Well, one of the advantages you have is you're not married. So if you want to display them all out in your living room, no one's going to tell you no.
If you saw my apartment, it's a walking example of that. No, I'm hanging my action figures from the wall because I want to.
Because I can.
And look, they're all gone.
Oh, they did good then.
Oh well, they always do very well. And for everything I've read, they'll do even better in the new codex.
That's like
I don't know where that picture came from. I lost my mind on that picture. So, oh look,
they came in at reserves.
Jump pack intercessors.
Are those unpainted bikes in the back?
They are 2 unpainted bikes because I had to change the list from the last time I painted it. So I have a wolf priest on bike, which I'm not sure exists anymore. And then some other riders. So I went with that. So
all right. We'll let it slide. They're prime. So
I don't know if they brought back the wolf priest on bike or if they're planning on it at some point.
And John really likes your army.
Thank you, sir. And here they come around again, heading into the center of the fray. And then this big battle.
What is the wing thing in the back?
It's his patriarch, I believe, or whatever leads the Gene Stealer Cold Army. I'm not that familiar with them anymore. Basically, when I brought those intercessors on, I had basically won the game objective point wise.
Yeah.
So I looked at Dave and I went, well, the right thing to be was to stay away from that. And I pointed that little mess because that's where all his heavy hitters were. And I said, but I really want to see what happens. So I charged them in, and they realized that it was very tough.
Yeah. What's striking about the photo, and this is a Mikeism, the dice match the wings.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that stood out to me. I'm like, oh, he's got matching dice.
And I'm not sure what happened to my camera here. I was zooming in, and my camera did some weird stuff there.
Technology. You press buttons.
Again, not a very good example of my photography skills.
Yeah, but I'm really digging those trucks.
Oh yeah, no, look great. Yeah.
Like, I watched Ninjon's recent video, and he took a scale model and converted it.
I haven't watched it yet, but
he took a scale model and converted. He said that was the closest thing he could get to 40K, which, to be honest with you, it's pretty much in line to the most part. And I'm like, I saw it was a good conversion. He didn't really do a heavy, like he just basically put the fenders and the trunk onto the car. But I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but those trucks would make a great base to do something like that.
Well, Dave is going to have a battle report with that army with the guys from Tabletop Tactics.
Okay.
He's there right now. That was one of the reasons he and I played it, so he can kind of get used to how the rules for that army worked. Again, playing Dave's a lot of fun. Games and stuff is great. They had the other weird part. I ran into a guy that I think I said this when that first show after that game was I ran.
Can I get 1 second, John? Have a great day. Get the kids' haircut. We will chat later. Take care. He loves your wolves, by the way.
And I will always be painting wolves. Absolutely.
Yes.
I ran into Lewis, who used to run the Infinity events at IOG.
Yes. How is he?
He's moved to Virginia, and he came up to Games and Stuff for a little event they had basically. So that was where Dave and I were playing, and I was walking across the game room, heading to the pop machine, and look over, and we pointed each other, Lewis, Fane, and it was awesome. It was good to see each other. It was awesome. It was
Sweet. So he moved to Virginia?
Yeah, he lives somewhere in Virginia now.
Is he still playing Infinity, or did he move on to? Is he still playing Infinity?
Was he up there for that Infinity event?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he wasn't running it, but he was playing it.
Very cool. Very cool.
It was very, very cool.
Yes, Infinity is still one of those games. It's a good game. It's a great system, but you have to be mentally prepared.
It is a chore. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
And I actually love the fact that you react during your opponent's movement phase.
Yes.
The problem is in a tournament setting, it's exhausting. I played 3 rounds, and I've never been that tired playing 40K.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
40K is pretty much like you go, I go, you go, I go.
Right.
Kind of mentality. You do some things when it's not your turn, mainly armor saves or some sort of a defensive.
There's more and more stratagems in the game now that allow you to react during your opponent's phase, but it's a stratagem. You got to spend the command points. But in Infinity, when you are doing your movement and you're putting your guys where you want them to be, you have to keep in mind where his guys are at and what reactions you might get, as well as what you're going to do during your turn. And
you have to interrupt your movement, because if you're moving across from one building to the next and they're like, "Oh, stop, I'm going to shoot you." You stop, and then you continue on afterwards if you survive.
That makes the game very cinematic, though, because I had a situation in a game I was playing where I played Ariadne. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of dog soldiers in there, which are like werewolves.
Right.
And they start off as a normal-looking human, but if they take damage, they transform into these giant wolves.
Shocking! You played a wolf army.
Isn't that surprising? I mean, I went through. Oh, look, Ariadne's got dog soldiers, they have an ability, because they are, even though in their human form they have super abilities, they have a leap ability which allows them to leap. I can't remember the distance now. I haven't played it forever. But as I did my leap move, my opponent reacted and shot at my 3 dog soldiers that were leaping. So they jump, they leap in human form, but land in wolf form.
So they got hit in the air.
I thought,
that's epic.
Yeah, that was very, very cool. So,
but yeah, it is a game you're engaged with the entire time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't heard much about their fantasy game. Like, it came out and it was, people were buying into it, but like I haven't heard, like I'm not seeing it get a lot of love in the gaming sphere.
I think one of the things that's going to hold Infinity back, this is my own personal opinion, they need to start getting away from metal.
They're doing a lot better. I'm not saying they're 100%, but they're doing better.
Right, they are, but I think metal's slowing their ability to grow quicker, because there are so many people that literally have started playing miniature games that you and I grew up in the hobby.
Right.
That's all you had.
Right.
And you got used to working with metal and how it works and how to clean them. I know there are so many people out there right now that won't even touch a metal miniature. They want nothing to do with it.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Buddy?
War Crow, it's really good. The models are COCast. Yeah, but you're right. There's a lot of people. I was watching Eons of Battle.
Mm-hmm.
He did the big Infinity Scorpion that's all metal. It's like an older model. And he was like, "This is the largest metal model out there." And I'm like, did you never see the metal Gazgul model?
Well, there used to be a red dragon that Raul Partha did that was all metal.
Yeah.
And it was like this tall. I know I built it for Hobby Bench and someone stole it.
But it's funny watching this newer generation. I don't want to say younger, just newer to the gaming industry. And they're taken back by metal. They're just like, "Oh my God, how do I put this together?"
They won't touch it. I mean, one of the nice things about having been in the industry as long as I have, you see a lot of trends. And I remember when I was first doing radio controlled aircraft myself, because I worked in a hobby shop. I didn't like saying I don't know, so I raced RC cars. I built RC planes. Never flew them well, but and they come out with these ready to fly kits. Now that's all they have. The industry, the art of building a balsa wood radio controlled aircraft and putting all you finishing it out and do all the detail work. That's becoming less and less and less of a thing. People really just want to buy them ready to go.
Yeah.
And the same thing's true with the miniature game now, because people, I don't know how many players I've run into that don't know how to work with metal and don't want to work with metal in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so, and that is to your point. Infinity still does have a lot of metal product line. Now, the difference though is their metal models are amazing.
They're fantastic. They're gorgeous.
There's fiddly parts on them that are metal, and there's not a lot of flashing.
Yeah,
and they go together beautifully. They got good joints and all that good stuff, because they're like, we're designing these. We know they're fiddly, so we got to make them go together better,
right,
than everything else.
Yeah, and well, the other positive and negative, they're true scale 25. Yes. All right, they're not where all other men, like GW was the first to do it. They did what they called their epic scale, which literally what that meant was, back in the day, they had larger hands,
right,
and larger heads to exaggerate the detail,
right.
And that's where GW scale, epic scale, heroic scale, whatever you want to call it. But Infinity models are true 25s.
Yeah,
they're absolute true 25s, and that makes them. I mean, I've built some. I've done commission work with them, and they go together nice. But you're trying to pin these things and this, that, and the other. So,
you don't want to read Mark's comment.
Yeah, I know. He's listen. The only joy in life he has is picking on me. And as long as I can provide that service for him, I'm happy to do it.
Mark, I can't wait till next weekend. It's going to be so epic. What did Heron say? He bought the Ralph Partha Imperial Dragon, brand new, way back in the day. Yeah, and nowadays at that price, that thing would be next to nothing.
Never worked with wood, Mark. It was always stone. We never did any wood carving. That wood carving is like guys that build model tanks. Why?
Specking out servos, receivers, and drilling all over the planes and RC modeler.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's all. Yeah. You're right. That hobby. Well, again, they made the right decision though, because they saw the shift in the hobby. They saw the shift in their customer base, and they're moving to it to provide the models that people are going to buy. They still make some of the old balsa wood models. They're just
they're harder and harder to find. Yeah. And then the part for that I find a little disheartening is, for example, like what Mark does. I mean, I'm just picking on Mark about doing tank models, but Mark's a craftsman. Yes. When Mark builds a model, the models are gorgeous, and they're just absolutely, the detail work is absolutely great. And those kind of skills you could also apply to other hobbies that have become lessened and not as readily available anymore, because people just don't want to deal with that.
Right.
And that's kind of sad that that side of that hobby has been diminished.
Yeah.
So,
and only one company so far has really, really did a great job with the pre-painted miniatures, and that's X-Wing.
Sure.
But nobody else has been able to match that level of detail in pre-painted miniatures. It's the recent Dungeons and Dragons set. I guess they had to recall it because the miniatures were painted so poorly that it was just unfortunate. Like, get a vintage mini, not near as big. Yeah. So anywho, speaking of modeling, I've been exploring model cars a lot more.
Sure.
And I'm watching videos and looking and trying to find that model car that, like, a lot of the model car kits are old kits that they're just remade.
You're kind of just recycling.
Yeah, they're just recycling. Like this kit that I'm working on, this CUDA, it's an old kit. Like the exhaust system's molded into the chassis, and there's not a lot of detail. And like the engine blocks and the transmission blocks are two halves, and you glue them together. It got me going, why haven't we, like, you see the scale tank industry and they're getting into slide molding and making like really great detail, but the car industry is still very basic.
True.
And I was watching a model review of the 1/8 scale Firebird for Smoking the Bandit, which it's the wrong year car, but still. And I'm like, and they still are like, let's put they're molding the batteries and a lot of the engine compartment things into the model. And I'm like, why didn't you guys take the time to make the batteries separate and all this other stuff? It's like the scale model car industry still just wants it to be basic.
Well, like, I don't think it's the industry. I think it's the people.
Well, the customers, yeah. The customers
they don't. A hobby. I did this. A hobby is doing the actual work is becoming less and less popular.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why diecast does so well. That's the biggest thing the model car industry is up against is diecast, because I remember when I was at Hobby Bench and at Hobby Town, guys would come in, look at plastic models, right, and I don't know how many times I couldn't count on how many times say, hey, I love this car. Do they have it in diecast?
Yeah.
They just want to pull out of the box and throw it on a shelf. They don't want to do the work. And quite frankly, it's not easy to do. I mean, I applaud you for getting a car finish right. It can be a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's just insane. And the model car industry, where here's the thing with armored vehicles, it's a different skill set than doing, like, for example, a car that you're doing, is the fact that just getting that finish right. It can eggshell, it can do a whole bunch of different things to just make it look horrible.
It's almost like the car guys are just want to be body painters, and they're not worried about all the really detailed stuff.
They don't do the detail work. Yeah.
Because with slide molding and all that, with an engine block, you could make the engine block solid and not have it be two things. You could break down the transmission from the bell housing to the components so that you don't have a seam. I spent like an hour sanding my engine block down, trying to get rid of the seam in the oil pan and the transmission.
Right.
I'm just like, why aren't they advancing that realm? Good morning, Victor.
Morning, Victor.
Into like a little bit more advanced. And then I was like, well, does anyone just make engines as a model kit that are more advanced? 3D.
When I was at, and this is going a long way back, when I was working for Hobbyland in Columbus, Ohio, back when I was working, that's where I started working part-time. I was still working as an investigator. And that's where I bought my copy Rogue Trader, which put me on a path that we've talked about on many occasions. We carried an entire line of aftermarket stuff like distributor caps, plug wires, all that stuff, where you could just hyper detail the engine well of whatever car you were working on. We carried all that stuff. Yeah. I'm hard pressed to walk into a hobby shop now and find anything like that. I mean, it's really hard to find.
Things are jumping. Aaron always keeps an eye open for a 55 Chevy Bel Air. Yeah, the Bel Air, Big Air Bel Air. The ones I find are 2-door, and I'm looking for the 4-door. Yeah, that'd be cool. JP, I'm already thinking about Gaslands and 124 scale, buddy. But I'm gonna have to go 3D printing if I want 124 scale military weapons.
JP, I'm waiting for him to go, hey, let's take 124 scale Gaslands and 124 scale slot cars. And then from there, let's take RC car 110 scale racings, take it to Gaslands, and instead of having RC car races, we'll have RC car Gaslands.
Yeah. I'm all for it, buddy. There's already people out there.
I'm telling you, I wasn't being facetious at all. You're absolutely going to have that happen. Then one's going to blow up in your face. You have 3D burns and a missing finger, and I'm
already halfway there. Yeah, David, that's what I found. Is most of the stuff that's available, that's super detailed in the engine compartment, is all 3D printed, which is fine. But I don't know. It's just an observation I had. I'm like, it's like when we old day of GW, when we get the horses and we got the two halves of the horses and we glue them together, you poke the tail in, you pop the head on, and then you get the seam. You have to get the seam to go away along the back, and you can't always get it from the underside because you got the two legs, and it's just like
they haven't changed much. I just did a bunch of the Deathcore Cavalry.
Yeah.
Other than having clawed feet, they're roughly the same thing. So
yeah, it's just interesting, and it's just an observation. I watch Andy do all these unboxings of these new tank models that are coming out, and they're just advancing and advancing. And then I look at the car industry, the model car side of things, and it's like, we're still doing it the old way.
Well, model cars have always been outsold by military vehicles. Always have been.
Yes.
Always have been. And I just think that's, but I think quite frankly, the entire industry is either in a kind of a flat line as far as not going up or down, or it's in a bit of a decline.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Have you checked any of the Tamiya car kits? I've watched videos on the Tamiya car kits, and I will say the Tamiya car kits, like Tim said, they are really cool. They just don't have a lot of the vehicles that I'm looking for. Tamiya likes to go with the super sporty cars and things like that. I haven't seen like a Tamiya 57 Chevy truck or the cars that I'm looking. Now, I guess I could take the parts out of one of their cars, but then I'm putting in a super Corvette engine into a truck. Yeah. It's doable.
I did have a guy that I worked with at Hobby Bench out at PV Mall he did scale model cars. Like he was a commission builder. Yeah. And his company was called Thumbprint Model Builders because he called it that because no matter how hard he worked on getting the car together, at some point during the build, he would find a thumbprint that he left somewhere.
Yeah.
But his big one was Formula One cars.
Well, most of the kits from Rel, ATM, and MPC are still repopping the same old model. Yeah, and that's what I've seen. And I get it. They've got the molds. I guess it would just be a licensing thing.
Well, the other thing is the dies are expensive to make for the injection mold. So they don't ever want to get rid of them. That's what happened to the Titanic kit. Yeah. Why the Lindbergh's Titanic kit went away. They cracked the actual die, and they didn't want to spend the money. I think they eventually did, but at that point in time, they didn't want to spend the money to make a new die.
Hey, we all know the story about squats ending up in the bottom of the ocean someplace.
They're back now, and they're called Votan.
Yeah, I know, but
as soon as they get more troops, I'll do more with my army. So
that was just a rumor back in the day. No, it was just an observation. I'm just surprised there's not like someone didn't go, well, we're just going to make a model. Like one of the reviews I saw of Andy, he was doing a transport carrier, and the company did the transport carrier, did it. It's a pretty basic model kit, but then they made a separate engine model kit that you could buy if you wanted to add a full engine into the model kit. And I was like, why aren't we doing that in cars? Like,
yeah, well, again, from when I worked in the industry, most people come in, they don't want to do the work. They want to. We have become, and as in my observation, we need instant gratification.
Yeah.
We don't want to put the work in to get to the end and that's not a bad thing. It's just how the trend has gone.
Watertight sub and other various parts. Here, please. Number. Very cool. Anywho, should we go on to the next set of photos?
Well, the next one is kind of self-indulgent.
It's our show. We'll do whatever we want.
All right. Do you guys remember in December? My youngest daughter had her first child, and I'm going to celebrate that her first child, which is my fourth grandchild.
Congratulations, Grandpa.
And
Grandpa
she turned 6 months old in the end of June.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about her. Oh. I showed this picture in February, I believe. That was her when she was born. And I'm just going to take you through real quick, just some shots of her because she is just absolutely adorable. I'm so proud of her. It's not even funny. Let me get here. First of all, just to be fair, they're all of my grandkids. That is my oldest, Kyla. She's 13 now, going on 30. This is Dean, my buddy painter, builder, and just he and I hang out so much doing hobby stuff it's not even funny. And this is Eliza, who is absolutely gorgeous, sweet as could be, but she absolutely knows both those things. So those are my grandkids overall, all of them. I love them to death. They make my life worth living at times because they're just so much fun to hang out with.
I like it. Good morning, Jake. Jake goes, well, we are talking about miniatures after all.
Yeah, we are. We are actually. But that's my grandkids. There's my newest grandbaby when she was first born, looking at me like, why are you sticking a camera in my face?
She doesn't even know what a camera is at this point.
At this point in time, she has no idea. She didn't know what her hands were at that point in time. So, and then this is just some pictures of her now in the last month and a half. Just become this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
That's a Wookiee.
She's a big Wookiee there. She's playing the bagpipes. So just absolutely gorgeous. That's when she actually, so look, it's Grandpa. Let me laugh at her. They all call me Bop Bop. So, look at the funny fat man's back. Yay. He's back again. She's the smilest baby that I've ever seen. Just laughs and giggles and is always bright-eyed and ready to go.
Adorable.
She's actually a trip. She's absolutely beautiful.
Look at that.
Heading to the beach, even though it's still cold outside.
You got to dress for success.
Yeah, absolutely. There she is. Flying King, ready to go. My daughter treats her like her own little dress-up Barbie.
I was just thinking that.
They call her Baby Starfish because she's got a starfish outfit very similar to this. She's finally rolled over on her own, so that's been kind of fun. So,
success.
And there's her and I. She's so tiny compared to her gigantic, huge grandfather.
And look at the dog picture in the back. Go back.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes. And then there's me and her napping because we're both tired.
You're exhausted.
Yep. And that is my grandbaby, Evangeline Charlotte Oswalt, who turned 6 months in June. And I regret that I don't get to see her as often as I do.
Yes.
I'd like to see her a heck of a lot more, but she's an absolutely beautiful kid.
Now, I know you live in the same complex with some of your family.
My 13-year-old granddaughter lives 2 doors down, and I am her. Only thing I'm used for now is I am her Chick-fil-A supply channel.
There you go.
If I come home with a Chick-fil-A cup, she gets mad at me because I did not bring her Chick-fil-A. So
this is the daughter that lives in the house.
She lives on the other side of town.
Okay.
And my oldest daughter lives in Rising Sun, which is about a 30-minute drive from me. She lives maybe 15 minutes away, and then my middle daughter lives 2 doors down from me. Because when I moved back to take care and help her with Kyla, get her on the bus, be here when she got off the bus, that kind of stuff. So, but that's Evangeline Charlotte Oswalt, who I affectionately refer to as Echo.
I like JP's comment. Exclusive model kit, really expensive. Takes about 18 years to complete.
Yeah.
I think JP's underestimated. It takes longer than 18 years to complete one of those model kits. That's a lifelong commitment.
Well, the nice thing is you guys got to see all the pictures of her being happy, from what I have never seen this side of her. But apparently when she is not happy, the world knows it.
Yes.
I haven't, but quite frankly, it's kind of in tune and in step with how my youngest daughter was. My older 2 daughters and my wife always told me that Zoe had the worst temper of all 3 of my kids.
Really?
And I never saw it ever. Not my Zoe, my baby, not my girl. Zoe and I've always had. I'm close with all 3 of my daughters, but each relationship is different.
Sure.
Zoe and I have just always clicked, and we enjoy the same thing. We get together for board game nights. We do a lot of other stuff. She was in high school. I was having trouble getting the kids to do their chores around the house, and I was trying to figure out, how do I do this? Stomping around, being grumpy dad isn't working.
Yeah.
So I thought I went to what I thought were the experts. I did some research, and some idiot out there said, enter into a contract with them. Write up a contract where you both agree on what your expectations are. Me, being an idiot, went, okay, that sounds good. Well, my older 2 signed it and handed it back to me, which I immediately knew that had not accomplished anything I wanted to do, because they were just going to ignore it anyway. Okay, they were teenagers, all of them.
Yeah.
But I thought, my girl Zoe, she's she's going to be there for her dad because she's a sweetheart. There's not a angry bone in that girl's body. So I set her down. She came home. I went through the contract, told her what to do, and I slid a piece of paper over to her, thinking I'm being a good dad. And she goes, "What the F is this? I'm not signing this. This is ridiculous." And she storms out of the kitchen. Caught me so off guard. I'm just gobsmacked. I'm just like, my baby, my. And from the living room, I hear my wife and other two daughters laughing their ass off because Dad had just got to see the temper of his little girl, who he thought was an angel that didn't have the ability, to use that kind of language, and to yell at me. So, yeah. So,
welcome to being a father.
My entire image of my youngest daughter was destroyed. And now that she's, married, finally has her own child in her 30s, she tells me things that she got away with in high school that I knew nothing about, and I just do this. I'm like, just don't ruin it anymore. Just let me have my image.
However, that one day she's going to come to you going, I can't get my children to do the things I want to do. You're going to go, you remember when I tried to have you sign a contract and you stormed out?
My middle daughter, who lives close, so anytime there's her, I hardly ever see her. I make a point to stay out, and because I'm 2 doors down, I could meddle very easily. I try not to.
Right.
So if my door is always open, she doesn't have to knock. She comes on in, but I very rarely see her. I only see her maybe once a week, where we actually talk. And it's usually when Kyla's wound her up. She's got something going on, and she comes in and she wants to vent. Sure. And it's always about something that I used to get mad at her about. So I just start giggling. And she's like, well, if you're going to act like this, I'm not going to come and talk to you. And I said, well, here's the thing. If I say anything, you're just going to get mad. So all I have left is giggling because you were the same way. So that's kind of poetic. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, that is the joy of being a father.
I prefer miniatures. They don't talk back, and they just do their thing.
The miniatures don't talk to you?
Well, they do, but they don't talk back.
Oh, they don't talk back. Gotcha. Okay.
Hey, Harold Defel, get on this gigantic tactical rock. You look good there. He doesn't say, no, I don't want to do that. Everybody does that. But he just does it. And
I usually giggle when I start painting under their armpits and stuff. They start giggling.
Yeah. Or when I say, hey, interceptor jump pack guys, go attack that creature you have no chance of killing. They don't say, no, we don't want to. They just do it. They die. And then I go, that was a bad choice. So,
well, should we look at the last group of photos?
The last group of photos, now that I've indulged my grandfatherly pride.
That is your prerogative, and everyone is going to support it.
She makes me smile. I got to see her this morning just for the show. And I walk up, she just grins from ear to ear and was just laughing. She said, oh, look, the funny fat man showed up again. And I will gladly wear that moniker.
One day she'll figure out who you are. Oh, look at this.
Amos is doing up a Ragnar Blackmane, and he's painting his hair properly. He's painting it blonde. Which is how Ragnar Blackmane should be.
Yeah, because you're the Space Wolf gatekeeper.
In the original fluff, he had blonde hair. He was called Blackmane because of a wolf he killed during his trials. He did not have
like Spartan 300.
Huh?
Like Spartan 300 when they had to go out and
very much so. I think they actually stole that story. But and now Harry and I actually did have a part in our book where we tried to correct it, and that got rejected hard.
JP's talking about night at the museum. He knows what happens that night.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true. Amos is doing a great job on this Ragnar Blackmane. He's doing him more in the Heresy Gray, which is fine.
Okay.
I know Don and I have this rivalry about what color armor they should have. We only have that rivalry because he and I have picked on each other since I've known him about the proper color of Space Wolves.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about the wolves, even in one of the edition codexes, it says that every wolf lord will change the armor color of his company based on what his likes are. So you can paint him any shade of gray you really wanted to. I actually prefer, and it was described in the fluff somewhere way back in the day, which is when?
Tuesday.
A Tuesday, absolutely. Back in the day, it was always a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
It basically says that the color is a glacial gray. That's what I prefer. And but Amos, but it's doing a great job on that. It's looking really, really good. So well done, Amos, and good for you for making his hair the proper color.
I'm gonna paint my Space Wolves blue.
Everybody's painting Space Wolves now.
I know. I'm gonna jump on the wolf wagon.
Which just goes to prove that, in what I've always said, they are one of the best looking armies in 40K.
They got that Viking vibe going on.
Yes.
Tanks from Dave.
Dave is building some tanks. I mean, there's a lot of tanks there.
He's getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Something. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
Who is it? I don't know who's in the background there with the wings.
That's actually a terrain piece.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Statue. It's a statue that I have one somewhere here. I haven't finished yet, but yes, it's that's what that is.
Look at Dave getting tanks going.
Some tanks.
Look at that. Woo-hoo. Love it.
Good stuff.
Oh,
this is my favorite Dave project.
After Dark Angels, Space Wolves are a good army.
If he just reversed that, that would be an accurate statement. I would, if I didn't play Wolves, I'd play Dark Angels.
Heron goes, tanks for the memories. Yes, look at the new Cola refrigerator.
This is just amazing, and it looks fantastic. I had to change the letters in the name from red to white because they just got lost.
They got lost in translation.
That's awesome. Way to go, Dave.
Oh, love that.
Joe's working on some quickie zombies, I think he said.
Quickie zombies.
Quickie zombies.
Love it. I love how you're putting the names on there. So now we don't have to get.
Yeah, it helps me a lot. Well, remember, we talked about last week. We want to start talking about things people are doing to get out of their comfort zone. Techniques they haven't tried before. I haven't seen any comments about that yet on Discord. I'm hoping that some people take the lead and start trying to get out of their comfort zone because you do it to me all the time.
All the time.
You make me go, I should try this. I've never done that before. And then I yell at you for
I hear you yelling at me even though you're miles away.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, Jeff must be trying something new because he's yelling. I can hear him yelling at. What's that?
This entire paintbrush set was prompted by two things.
What's that?
Right? The first one, it's an Artist Opus set. Fantastic brushes.
Yes.
I was gifted my lovely version of me on a Thunderwolf Cav by Amos. Was one of the best gifts I've ever received.
Yes.
But it's showing the Thunderwolf Cav holding up a paintbrush above his head like a spear, and it's an Artist Opus brush. That was one of the reasons I bought this. The other one was I am a heavy-handed painter, and I go through brushes like mad. So I wanted to buy an expensive set and hope to prompt me to gentle up my touch so that I was actually could be a little more finesseful.
I bought the Artist Opus brushes just for the box. Anyways, moving on.
You didn't have to tell me that because when I bought that, hey, Mike would love this wooden case.
Yeah. Mark, well, I started painting 1/35th scale figures after 20 plus years of not doing them. Yes, I saw
I
more.
know. We have some pictures of those coming up. So there's the stuff from Joe, some zombies, some quick zombies. Look really good.
Zombies. Quickies.
Lovely, lovely game quality zombies.
Yes.
They got no heads.
Headless man.
Don't worry.
They
won't be forever.
Look at that.
These were on the thing, and then I noticed this morning because I did the pictures yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
And then I jumped on this morning just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then, of course, he had these up. Ta-da!
Yes, look at that.
Very cool.
Whole different skill set.
Yep.
Love it. Just love it.
Yeah, there they are again. I think I put the same model up twice. Let me see here. Boom, boom, boom.
No, it's a whole different.
I went the wrong way. There we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at that. I have one of those shovels. Well, I used to carry it in my old work truck because sometimes I'd have to dig dogs out of holes.
Oh, real quick before I forget, Jake, if you're still watching, I want to talk to you seriously about the Rogue Trader event at Adepticon we talked about a while back on the show.
Yeah.
So let me know a good time. If not, we can talk about it when I call you because I'm now Jake's account manager at Battlefront.
Oh.
So the next time we talk at Battle through the phones or email for Battlefront, we can discuss it. But I really want to see how far, if we can actually make this happen.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and then here's Tim did some more buildings.
These are, so I saw these kits in person yesterday.
Yeah, they're nice kits.
Yes, these are they're plastics and they're fantastic model kits.
Yeah, they're good. I built a couple of these. Yeah, they're nice. They look really good.
Mark saying the faces are far from being done, just basically blocking in the color. Yeah, hey, you got to do it. Entrenching tools, good things to have in hand. Yeah.
There's some stuff Tim's working on.
Some dead man's hand stuff or cowboys.
Future Space Wolf here.
Yeah, there you go. That's a Space Wolf.
Yeah. I know it's a bear head probably, but still.
Yeah, close enough. It's fur. So great. They are JP. JP's on top of it.
He's an encyclopedia of knowledge.
Yes, he is. Love it. We don't have to know anything. Oh, there's me.
Who are these guys?
So I did take. I'm a man of my words, and you got to be the change you want to see in life. So I put these up. They're not done. They're not even close to being done, but I am pushing my flesh tone.
Oh,
and there are two different techniques here. The guy with the beard, I did with layering and glazing and all that. The other guy, I did kind of a quick and down and dirty type flesh tone with wet dry brushing so that it covered a little bit better, and then layered it up and did some stuff with it just to say, okay, which when it comes to time for doing them, which one looks better, because if I'm going to invest the time and the dry brushing one works, then okay, that's the feedback I was looking for. But it seems like a lot of people like the beard.
Yeah, the beard's good. Looks really good.
And Joe gave some advice and said, take the one with the dry brushing and try some shading on it. And I'm like, that's probably the way I would go, is do some flesh tone.
Actually, I was going to make a comment on that if you didn't mind.
Oh, go ahead.
What you want to do, what I do,
okay,
is when I get to the point where that model's at right now.
Which one?
Then go back. The one will be on the right with the axe and the knife.
Okay.
With kind of on either down without the beard.
Right.
I then go back to my original flesh tone that I base coated the flesh on. And I thin down a glaze.
Okay.
And I literally just apply a glaze. What that does for me, what I've seen it do, is that literally gets rid of any kind of a dry brush look.
Okay.
Because you're using the same as your base color, it darkens up your shadows even more. But it kind of, you want to make sure it's a thin, and you want to do it a couple glazes, but that will kind of bring that all together and look like a more smooth transition in your gradients.
And that's what I noticed with the dry brush, is my gradients aren't smooth.
Right. But that will actually smooth that out. If you go with a wash like a Reichland's flesh shade or something like that, you're going to change the overall color of that model, of that flesh tone.
Right. It's going to add a red tint to it.
If you go back to the original base color and glaze it with that, not a wash, that means you put your brush into your glaze and then you take off a little bit of the excess and then just give it a nice glaze where you just get a nice even coating. That will draw all those colors you've dry brushed on over that original base and pull them all together, while at the same time darkening up your recesses.
Because a glaze is going to work a little bit like a wash because it's a thin paint.
Yeah.
So the edges will still stay bright and it'll settle more into the recesses.
Right. So. You don't want to use a wash, because a wash, you want to have it pull up a bit in those recesses, where with a glaze you want a nice even coat over the whole model. Okay. But that also, because the thing about the human eye can actually see those individual layers.
Okay.
And it usually sees the last layer you put on it. It will look and be perceived as being a little higher than the others, even though it's on such a tiny level, which gives you that dry brush look.
Yeah.
If you glaze that whole thing, and this is actually a technique that I can't think of his name. A girl with a brush. Alan. That Alan taught me while we were down at an IPMS show down over in Mesa. We were just talking, and he taught this technique to me. We just talked about it, and the first time I tried it, it absolutely does. then just do that glaze. And then if you want to, you can repeat that glaze in your recesses using that same original flesh tone. But if you wash it with an ink or something like that, you're going to alter that entire color, which is fine if that's what you want to do. I like the way he's kind of pale.
Yeah.
And that would be, but it's a slower process. But I want to give it a try.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Like, again, I'm trying to push myself.
Yeah, and Mark, the glaze will actually work as a filter to tie the colors together. Absolutely correct.
So, but that, just doing, and Heron talked about my wood bases. Thank you very much. Pretty simple technique on those, contrast paint.
Well, actually, there's a wood. Oh my gosh, where's it at? Scale Color makes a wash called Ink Tense Wood.
Yeah.
That's fantastic for washing woods.
Okay.
Give that a try. I can't find my bottle here. I've got a bottle here. I got to replace it. I'm almost out. But it's really good for that at doing that, and then just doing a quick little light dry brush or a dry rub on that will bring it up. So yeah.
But that's where I'm at with them. Still got a ways to go. Got a lot of edging, gold edging.
Oh, yeah, I think you're doing really well. The flesh tones are coming out nice, and the beard is that. And I love the color choice because that really kind of brings it out, kind of makes it pop.
Well, I'm trying to keep all of my tones kind of reddish, so sure. I want because I don't want to do anything too contrasting. That's why the wood bases have a little bit, like the one on the left with the guy with the beard has a little bit more of a red tint to it, where the one on the left has more of a brown tint to it.
Right.
But I'm trying to use like colors with red tints and like warmer colors so that everything kind of blends together.
Right.
That's all. Just little things like that. But
great. It looks fantastic.
Still ways to go, but this is going to be for my Mortime ore band.
Well, again, this is what you and I talked about last week on the show. Is we kind of want to get to where we're actually when we put somebody's model up. Let us know what techniques you're using or trying in the comments, and then we can actually make it talking points while we're doing the actual show.
Because after a while, it's like, oh, nice model. But if we don't know what you're pushing. Right. We can't really give you too much advice other than, anything that we see that's, glaring, but yeah, let us know.
And, well, the other nice thing about it just like, for example, just in the conversation we've triggered a lot of comment conversation, which is another thing we actually are trying to achieve.
Because we like seeing it now scroll on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyways, well, that's what I'll try with that now my base, I have 3 different shades of flesh tone before I even did the dry brush.
Right.
Would I go all the way back to the original, or would I go with
the original base color?
All right.
Yeah, because again, you're in a glaze, so you want to make it really thin.
Yeah.
I mean, you really want it to be almost not invisible, but just enough where you actually see the color there. Then you dab your brush on a paper towel to pull off the excess liquid, and then just do that glaze. And you want to pull your brush where you want that glaze to be the darkest is where you want to end your stroke.
Okay.
So you want to kind of cover the whole thing, but ending in your recesses. And now,
so I would basically start from the middle of the chest and work outwards, creating more of a darker shade, darker tone underneath the arms and things like that.
Yep.
All right. I will give it a shot.
Yeah. See what you think.
All right. Cool.
And then no new techniques for me on this, unfortunately. This is my commission stuff. Now you're probably going to see a lot more of me talking about technique when I actually start into my wolves.
Yeah.
Because I have some serious plans for them. But this is a Astro Templar commission I'm working on. This is
the guy that's doing the bases himself, right?
He's doing the bases himself. That's why the bases aren't done. I have fallen in love with. If I ever played Stormcast, this is the faction I would paint because these are just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Dude,
I remember when the Stormcast came out; those were horrific models.
Yeah, they are gorgeous.
Come so far.
Yeah, they are absolutely gorgeous. They looked almost like automatons. They didn't look like guys in armor. They looked like robots.
Yeah,
they were so stiff, but they've really brought them about. So, but this is a commission that I'm working on for a guy that I know from Battlefront. I love this color. It's an easy color to get done.
Yeah.
And that is it. That's all we have.
Very cool. Very cool.
Boom. All right. And that is all of my show, all of my presentations for today.
That was a lot of photos to go through.
Well, I appreciate you indulging me on my granddaughter because that was just
you do you, and I'm okay with it.
I can tell you how that happened. I actually had originally wanted to put the one where I put her name across the bottom because she's just adorable. And I was telling before I put any pictures of my grandkids on our show, I make sure my daughters are okay with it.
Sure.
So I called Zoe. I said, "Hey, listen, I was gonna talk about Evangeline."
We didn't do those photos, Mark.
We didn't. I could do something with those. Yeah. So we can pop in and do that. I think we can.
Okay.
But anyway, I asked her, if she had a problem with it, and she's like, "No, absolutely not." She goes, "Dad, I post her on Facebook all the time." So I'm getting ready to go to bed last night, and my phone explodes. And it's my daughter sending me a whole bunch of new pics. and she goes, "You don't have to show them all, but I thought if you're going to show her off, here's some other pictures I absolutely love." And hey, they're all going on the show.
Yes, the meme war of Jeff waiting for his space wolves.
Yes. Well, let me do that real quick.
Mark got a little. I'm not going to say Mark got carried away.
Mark got a lot carried away.
It's almost like Mark had this in his head because he just was like, boom, here's a whole bunch of memes of.
I often wonder how much sleep Mark loses while trying to find new and creative ways of taking the heck out of me.
Well, we will find out next week when Mark joins us.
Well, we're gonna see the. I'm gonna do this right now, and if you see a problem with me doing this, you let me know.
You're gonna share screen.
Boom.
Yes, here is the Jeff.
This is the one you put up.
My favorite one of Jeff just waiting. It's not just you.
Man, Mark waiting for his new models.
Yes.
Raymond put this one up. Jeff waiting for a new Space Wolves. So there we go.
Yeah.
And waiting. These are both from Raymond.
All right.
Waiting for Jeff to find out I swapped his new FOMO box for a jar of dust.
That's funny.
And then Mark, poor Jeff waiting on the new Space Wolves releases. Boom, boom, boom. Poor Jeff waiting on the Space Wolf box set. Poor Jeff waiting on the Space Wolf box set to be released. Jeff waiting on the Space Wolves. Yeah, Mark just went a little bit crazy here. Jeff waiting on the Space Wolves. Poor Jeff waiting on the Space Wolves box set to be released. He's just gone crazy.
Yes. I love the Judge Judy.
Yeah.
Just waiting.
Cookie Monster. Poor Jeff. He's just gone crazy. Now, here's what it should have been. I posted this one.
Okay.
Which is basically give it to me now.
That's funny.
That's more accurate.
So, no, I was waiting for the open.
Amos posted this after I posted the other one.
Oh, because that is exactly how
I think my comment was almost accurate.
there might be a little bit more lint in Jeff's wallet.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of old lottery tickets and other receipts, but there's no money in there. So
there you go.
Yeah. So Mark had a lot of time on his hands, which is probably why the heads weren't done on those 120 millimeter models.
Probably. He spent so much time creating memes for you. Memes.
He goes, do I want to work on these models or do I want to take the piss out of Jeff? Oh, I know what I'll do.
Yes. So.
And as long as we've known each other, that has been how we and I roll.
Cosmic goo.
Product boxes are filled with cosmic goo. If you live a good life, you open a meat, blah blah blah. Okay, that's very true. That's very true. And I think Jake already left the show because he didn't hear anything I said about the Road Trader event. But I'll give him a holla.
Well, he's got to get down there and sell all those Space Wolf boxes.
He does. So
a few cobwebs in my wallet and a tiny spider crawling out. Jeff would freak out if a tiny spider came from.
I would. Yeah, there wouldn't need a Space Wolf box. I would probably die.
I've told this story before, and I'll tell it again because I'm old and this is what we do. Long time ago, when I was playing 5th edition Warhammer Fantasy, I didn't know Darren had a phobia of spiders.
Right.
And I had pet tarantulas at the time. And
Right.
I had this really creative idea. One of my tarantulas molted, and I was able to save it was a perfect molt, and I was able to save it. And I'm like, I'm going to make this tarantula pulling a chariot for my goblin army. And I had it all pinned up on a base and everything like that. And then I found out Darren had a real phobia of spiders. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not taking that into the shop.
There's two stories I have. I used to game every Saturday night. My wife and I would go to my brother-in-law's house, and we'd play Rollmaster.
Uh-huh.
Skip, much like you, had a thing about himself at that point in time where he said he always wanted to confront his fears.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a phobia about spiders, just like I do. But his way of handling it was actually buying some basically tarantulas.
Yep.
And I basically knock on the door. I hear him. We're getting ready to go ahead and play the game. He says, "Come in." I open the apartment door, and he's sitting in his living room like this with this gigantic tarantula on the back of his hand. And I just stood there in the doorway. And he's like, "Come on." I said, "Nope. Don't take that thing away."
Yes.
On you using the molt as a model, I worked for a guy at Hobbyland back in Columbus, and we found a dead mouse in the storage closet.
Oh.
He goes, "Oh," and he went back and took care of it. Didn't think anything about it. About a month later, he was a miniature painter, and he came in with this diorama that he did that had a skeleton on. And wow. I go, that's done really, really well. And I go, "Who makes that?" And he goes, it's a real. He goes, "I took that dead mouse home, and I basically pulled the skeleton out of it, and that's the actual skeleton." And I'm like, "That's creepy. That it look. I have to say it looks good, but it's real creepy."
Yeah. Well, there's an art form out there for things like that. I would never have that kind of art in my house.
Don't need to cross that way. But
yeah. No, I was young back then.
Yeah, no, I think would be cool because it's but it looked cool. But yeah, it would have freaked me out too.
Yeah, it was a little over the top.
Yeah.
Then one day something fell on it and crushed the mold.
No, that's too bad.
Yeah, it is what it is. So, all right. Well, for all you local folks, Gamers Garage Sale opens at 10. So 9:30. So 10 o'clock. I will be down there after 10 because I don't want to stand in line. It's hot. The sun came out, so that's why I had to shift my camera because that window just blasts the sun in my room. One of these days I'll put blackout curtains up or something.
Well, that was the thing I found amazing, just to kind of let everybody know. When we were talking before the show and at the beginning of the show about you doing all the stuff with your sprinkler system.
Yeah. You
said you did it before the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. You started at 7 a.m. So you were out there at what, 5?
5 o'clock. As soon as I was in the garage prepping all the parts. And then as soon as the sun hit, I went out and started trenching up the dirt and got the line in. And I didn't bury it yet, but I had to take a shower, get ready for the show. Well,
I get the fact in Arizona that you want to get to it before the sun comes up because then it becomes it's unbearable out there.
Oh yeah. Well, I was out there yesterday afternoon when it was only 102, so it was survivable weather.
Only 102.
Digging up because I'm replacing all the black tubing with PVC, so I did a bunch of the pre-work yesterday. So this way, I knew this morning I could just had to do the connection between the 2 points and put the sprinkler heads in.
Yeah.
So
let's see. Next week we got Mark on.
Mark is on the show with us next week. And
so Mark, how that'll work is basically we'll just send you an email before the show starts. You just have your camera stuff set up, your mic and everything else. What time you want to have him come on so we can make sure that he's all technically ready to
go? You want to come on around 7:30? You think
about a half hour?
That way, first of all, Mark and I can rib on you a little bit.
That's fine.
But I've never met Mark, so let's.
We start at 7 your time.
Yes.
So that would mean I'd probably want to bring him on right when the show starts. Yeah.
Huh?
What? Okay, we start the show at 7.
Yeah.
What time do we want to have him ready for us before we start the show to make sure technically?
6:30 my
Okay,
time.
because you said 7:30 earlier.
Oh, sorry.
That's what confused me.
It's not hard to do with me.
I am older than you, but I think you have on early onset Alzheimer's.
I wouldn't be surprised with that one bit. No, we'll get on around 6:30.
Yep.
That way we can just make sure his camera's working. We can set everything up and then just chat and solve first world problems. And but just make sure everything's functioning, and I can just get to chat with Mark for a little bit.
No, absolutely, that's no problem at all.
And then we'll talk a little bit about the show format, which is free form. We just ramble.
Yep.
7:30 a.m. Mountain Time. I don't know what Mountain Time is.
Yeah, you're on Pacific Time right now.
Yeah, so it'd be
while you're 3 hours ahead of me. He's Mountain Time, so he's 2 hours ahead of me.
Okay.
So that would be 7:30 his time. Yes.
Mr. Famous stop motion animation took the actual crab shells. Oh, very cool. Still using StreamYard. Yeah, we do StreamYard. We'll send you Mark. You'll have to send him an email link.
Yeah, just send me your email address again, Mark. Just make sure I have it. Then we'll send you a link that'll just bring you right into the studio.
Yeah.
So then
we'll get you up and running. Don't and any technical things we can resolve before the show.
Yep. So
and then luckily though, my internet's been doing phenomenal since I upgraded.
Yeah, I'm actually getting ready to go make some changes to my internet today or tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going to actually drive up to the Xfinity office and make some changes.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, with that all being said, next week expect Mark to be on the show. We also got Darren lined up. IOG Darren.
Yep. Later, a few weeks from now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's gonna Montana. I think after the
I think he's leaving sometime next week. Going back to Montana for a bit, and then he'll be back down, and then we're gonna have him on the show at that time.
Yeah, we're gonna chat with Darren a little bit, and just get a bunch of the guys together and have a good time.
It'll be great,
and we'll just take it from there. So, all right, everybody, we're gonna bounce. We're gonna get out of here. We will be back next week with Mark. It will be an entertaining show.
I will get verbally abused and I'll be in a fetal position crying by the end of the show, but that's fine. I do that all the time anyway.
And again, Mark can promote his Facebook page and the stuff that he's doing and talking about getting out of your comfort zone, watching hobbyists, scale modelers. You can pick up a lot of techniques and things like that.
Absolutely.
And then we will be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. So
yeah.
Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Yeah.